Buy cheap, buy twice is one of those missions that really doesn't pull its punches. You're not just raiding a car dealership. You're going up against a cartel operation armed with heavy rifles, stacks of drugs and money, and even evidence of human trafficking on the walls. To make things worse, one of your fellow officers has been caught as an undercover informant. The cartel ruthlessly executes them on the top floor. The map itself is brutal. The dealership's huge parking lot leaves you wide open to long-range fire, and the showrooms inside aren't much safer with all that open space and exposed angles. Using non-lethals like the pepper ball gun feels almost impossible here. Hitting enemies across those distances just doesn't cut it. That's why for this run, I swapped to a high-powered rifle with the 4x scope. It gave me the reach and the stopping power I needed to survive the chaos. Now I didn't manage to S rank this one, but I did pull off the A+ rank. And in this video I'll walk you through the loadout I used, the strategy that worked best, and some tips that'll help you handle one of the toughest cartel missions in Ready or Not. For this mission, I've got two loadouts to recommend, one lethal and one non-lethal. For the easier option, go lethal. You can run just about any rifle, but personally, I went with the SR-16 fitted with the 4x scope. It gives you the range you need for those wide open areas, especially outside and in the showrooms. For deployables, bring flashbangs, they're a must here. I also like carrying the lockpick gun to keep things moving without wasting time. I recommend heavy armor for yourself since enemies hit hard, but whether you give your teammates heavy or light is up to you. Pistol doesn't really matter. Instead of a riot shield, I suggest running the mirror gun. It's more useful in this mission. For your squad, I arm them with P90s. This way, they're lethal and effective in close quarters, but still not mowing everything down instantly. As for gear, I usually load them up with flashbangs, stingers, wedges, and one guy with a battering ram. Nothing too fancy, just the reliable tools. The second option is what I've showed in my other runs, the pepper ball gun, also known as the VPL. Keep your heavy armor on since survivability is still key. If you're feeling it, you can add a riot shield, which really helps you close the distance against long-range enemies without getting shredded. For teammates, I also give them pepper ball guns to keep things consistent across the squad. So to sum it up, if you want the smoother path, go lethal with the scoped rifle. If you're chasing that S rank with the non-lethals, the pepper ball loadout can work, but it's definitely more challenging. So, when you load up buy cheap, buy twice, you'll get to choose your starting point, pick the street spawn, drops you on the opposite side of the parking lot, closer to where I like to begin, the garage. The garage is a smaller building, and clearing it first is quicker and a little easier. At the start of the mission, try moving around the right side quietly. Of course, sneaky only goes so far in this game, because your teammates usually spot someone and start shouting. If there's a civilian or an enemy near the main entrance, deal with them right away, but then get right back on track towards the garage. For the garage itself, I usually stack up on the first door, have my guys breach and clear with the leader. This is where the riot shield shines. The way it works when you clear with the leader is they'll open the door, and if you run in, they won't engage or try to clear the room until you're in there first. So if you have the riot shield, those smaller rooms are way easier to rush into and overwhelm the suspects safely. Once the garage is clear, don't forget the objectives inside. There's a little suitcase full of money on top of one of the cars, and the next room we push into has a little weapons cache. Clearing the rest of the garage is nothing special. You just gotta utilize your teammates, take advantage of flashbangs, and take your time. The side tip about the garage is that both sides of the garage have these garage doors that are slightly open. Cartel loves to scoot underneath these doors, which gives you a perfect opportunity to take them down. For some reason, when they hear you, they just can't help but scoot under. In general, for this mission, you want to try to separate enemies as much as possible, so things like this you want to take advantage of. After you clear out the garage, you've got two options. Head back outside the way you came, push up the stairs to the second floor, or you can circle around the other side of the building and enter the building through the parking lot. This side is a solid spot for starting to sweep out the first floor. There are a few doors that open into the first floor but don't open into a giant showroom, so it gives you a little opportunity to pick off guys from a safe spot. If you decide to approach the second floor from the outside, be careful. Enemies can sometimes spot you from the opposite side of the garage, and if they do, it can throw off your whole rhythm. The outside entrance is still a little awkward to push, but trust me, it's way better than trying to fight your way up the interior stairwell. The reverse is also true. If you're inside already, avoid those stairs unless you absolutely have to. Once you clear the top floor and report the executed undercover officer, exit through the same door you entered. From here, I like to swing back through the garage and make my way into the dealership from one of the side doors opposite your spawn point. Inside the dealership, things get tricky fast. There are multiple showroom style sections, also with wide open spaces. The problem is that the moment you engage in one room, enemies in neighboring areas will hear the gunfire and rush in. This makes firefights messy and unpredictable. This is where, like my non-lethal runs, especially with the pepper ball gun, get brutal. Even if you manage to neutralize the first wave, more enemies will funnel in, and then it's nearly impossible to secure a rest before someone stands back up and new threats appear. And that's why I lean more towards the lethal loadout for this mission. The enemies are just too aggressive, too well armed, and the open layout of the dealership doesn't give you much room to safely control the fight with non-lethal tools. With a high-powered rifle and proper use of flashbangs, you can actually clear these wide spaces a lot more reliably. Lethal weapons let you drop armored enemies before they have a chance to push or flank, which is critical when you're fighting in these big showrooms. That doesn't mean you can't try a non-lethal run though. In my experience, it turns the mission into a frustrating uphill battle. At the end of the day, buy cheap, buy twice is one of those missions where you have to decide what's more important. Role-playing as non-lethal, or actually surviving and finishing with a solid rank. Before I forget, the first floor has the last objective you need to collect, which is the evidence of the human trafficking. It's on a little whiteboard. There you have it. Buy cheap, buy twice really lives up to its name. If you go in unprepared, you're going to be paying for it over and over again. With the right loadout and smart approach though, you can push through the chaos and come out on top. Thanks for watching, and if you found this breakdown helpful, leave a comment for me. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more Ready or Not PS5 guides. Love y'all. Peace.